What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. So another camera comparison, this time between the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone XR. So we're going to be doing a cool, I'll try to be as integral as possible, as as many different camera situations, like comparisons, all that stuff. And it's interesting because the iPhone 11 Pro has 3 camera sensors, all 12 megapixels. The iPhone XR had a single 12 megapixel camera. Now, there's a lot of advantages for the 11 Pro, and ultimately it is the overall better camera sensor, but there's still a lot of ways where they're both very similar. And I don't think the iPhone 11 Pro is way better, and in some cases, I might think the iPhone XR is better in some lighting conditions, but overall, the features and everything are more compliant with the iPhone 11 Pro. Ultra wide sensor, telephoto lens. The iPhone XR has neither of those. So with that being said, the iPhone 11 Pro photos will be on the right, the iPhone XR photos will be on the left. And looking at the first photo, you can see again of the infamous grass plant. Really, they look pretty similar. I like how the iPhone 11 Pro's photo looks a little bit greener, and I've said this before. However, with the iPhone XR, you can see it looks a little bit darker, and I actually kind of like that a lot. However, if we kind of zoom in a little bit, let's say to like this specific green light, whatever grass, they both look pretty good. I think the more detail kind of is with the iPhone XR though, which is really weird. After looking at it, I think the 11 Pro is a really good sensor. I think it looks really good, but it looks like it's less noisy on the iPhone XR. If I go ahead and zoom in a little bit more into that specific lamp, again, you can kind of see, maybe I'm the only one, but it seems like there's more like noise in the iPhone 11 Pro photos. You can see more like pixels and stuff. The iPhone XR photo looks a lot more smoother overall. So for this photo, I don't know. Maybe the iPhone 11 Pro might be the better one, but I think the iPhone XR kind of looks a little bit better. If we kind of zoom in like to this specific leaf, kind of like zoom in, again, maybe the details with the iPhone XR here, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's pretty much it for the first photo. Looking at this next photo, again, of this little camera lens thing, and I try to take them at the same location every time, but it's a little hard, I'll be honest. And again, I always take them by letting it autofocus. I don't click to focus or anything like that. And even looking at this photo, you can see when I zoom in, really there's not too many differences as I can tell. If I go and try to zoom into this little text right here, I come on and see which one is more detailed. And again, dude, you might be surprised at me saying this, but it seems like the iPhone XR did an overall better job at keeping that image more crisp and detailed. With the iPhone 11 Pro, you can see it seems a little bit washed out. Not washed out, but a little bit brighter in my opinion. Now, this could be because of the angle I took the photo and everything, but I don't know, guys. You tell me. I feel like I can see this one a little bit more clear on the iPhone XR than on the iPhone 11 Pro here with its, 058 when it looks a little bit more pixelated. Zooming into the top, let's see if we notice any crazy differences. Not really, this is a kind of a minor difference, but that was one thing that really stuck out to me, to be honest. Now this next photo of this lampshade, and you can see we have the darker side on the left and then the more lighter side on the right. And if I go ahead and zoom in a little bit, let's see if we can see any differences. And upon the first glimpse, not really. I kind of see more of the detail on the window here. You can see a little bit more dirt and stuff, or rain, or whatever this was. The iPhone XR, you can't really see that, so that's one advantage for the iPhone 11 Pro right there. Kind of looking on the right a little bit, not too many differences either. The shadows seem to be a little bit more prominent on the iPhone XR, that's for sure, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Looking on the side of this thing, you can see, maybe it looks a little bit brighter on the iPhone 11 Pro, which is kind of a good thing, but they both look pretty similar too. So again, here, not that many differences. Now this next photo, I was actually pretty surprised. So with the iPhone XR, you can see that, they both look pretty much the same. However, you can see that the iPhone XR did a lot of post-processing and the image looks a little bit warmer on the iPhone XR. With the iPhone 11 Pro, the image looks cooler. Now, one thing I noticed that off the bat was I like how the desk looks on the iPhone XR, but I like how the MacBook looks on the iPhone 11 Pro. You can see it looks a lot cooler, it looks a lot more vibrant. The iPhone XR looks a lot warmer and it doesn't seem washed out at all, but I definitely do think that the iPhone 11 Pro did a better job here. If I go ahead and zoom in, one thing you can see all the creases here, you can see all the creases and marks here. Looking at this specific mark, it looks more detailed on the iPhone 11 Pro, which is nice. I'm glad to see that. I'm really looking for details and anomalies in both sets. And as you can see, nothing too crazy, not one image is like way better than the other. But like I said, I like the desk on the iPhone XR, but I like how the MacBook looks on the iPhone 11 Pro, which is kind of funny, so you guys can be the judge here. Now this next photo is of the sock, infamous sock, I'm running out of them. And you can see again the iPhone 11 Pro image, just seems a little bit better. I think I wanted to zoom in though to this little circle right here, and you can see again, one thing that I've noticed is that the whites on the iPhones seem to be a little bit better on the iPhone 11 Pros than the iPhone XRs. And one thing for certain is, look how kind of, unfocused and blurry this iPhone XR image is versus the iPhone 11 Pro. You can see like every single line here and see almost every detail versus the iPhone XR. You can see I'm trying to be as exact as possible. And look at the differences here. There's a lot of detail here, whereas on the iPhone XR, it seems a bit out of focus and kind of weird here. So You guys can be the judge here, but I think the iPhone 11 Pro does a really good job at kind of showing the details of the images a little bit better, but it's been very close. In some cases, the 10R was better too. Now this next image of the Rubik's Cube, again, you don't really see too many differences with the Rubik's Cube itself, which is good. You can see this hair piece right here, all right? And ultimately, they look almost the same. I don't really see too many differences here. However, one thing that I do notice is of the background, and one thing that's for certain that I realize is if you look at the background images of all the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 series camera photos that I've done, you can see that the background seems a lot more blurrier on the 11 Pro series than on the iPhone XR and XS Max series and all those. So if you look at this one, you can still kind of make out this phone, but on the iPhone 11 Pro, you can see it did a lot better job of blurring it out. So even though the images kind of look the same in terms of, when you're looking at it at first, the iPhone 11 Pro definitely has its advantages right there. So this next one is of the Rubik's Cube. Again, I kind of took too close on the 11 Pro. I do apologize. But again, you don't really see too many differences here. If I look at the Rubik's Cube itself, nothing too crazy. They both look almost the same. Even in the background, they look almost the same too. One thing I noticed though is that for this specific door hinge, you can see how blurred out it is and you don't see it that well. The iPhone XR, you can still see it. So maybe some people like seeing that. When you have a subject closer, it tends to blur out the background a little bit better. So that's really nice. Now this photo I demonstrated portrait mode. Now on the iPhone XR, I was not able to get portrait mode working on this teddy bear, which sucks. I was able to get it working on the 11 Pro, so that is kind of an advantage. And you can see right here, I mean, this isn't like portrait mode on the XR, it's just a standard image. And you can see, differences right there. You can see differences with the ear, it's much more crisper here, a little bit more washed out here. Looking at everything else, it's pretty much the same though. I wish this did have portrait mode working on it for teddy bears and animals and stuff, but I guess it's whatever. I guess they didn't get the memo, so 11 Pro kind of wins there. Now this photo of the iPhone 11, I wasn't able to tell too many differences right off the bat, but once I zoomed into the camera, I was able to see a little bit more. You can see that in my opinion, the iPhone 11 camera sensor looks a little bit darker overall, and I actually like the ring, the silver ring around the camera sensor. I think that looks really, really nice on the iPhone 11. The iPhone XR did a good job too, but it seems a little bit yellowed and a little bit washed out, so even with that bottom camera lens, you can't really make out the second lens in the bottom, but with this one you can, so they both have their advantages. One definitely didn't, outlast the other, outwin the other, but I do think the 11 Pro did better here. Now this photo of the Leaf, once again, nothing too crazy from the first glance, but once you kind of start zooming in, that's when you start seeing more details, and I love zooming into the specific Leaf on the older iPhones as well. And if I go ahead and zoom in to this specific part, right, and I zoom into this specific same part, you can see sometimes that the iPhone 11 Pro does kind of look a little bit better, especially when you kind of get up here. You can see it looks a little bit pixelated on the iPhone 11, on the iPhone XR, whereas on the iPhone 11 Pro, it did a better job of showcasing every single detail. Even if I zoom in a little bit more, you can see that white starts to kind of go away, where that white is still prominent on the iPhone 11 Pro, so that's really, really nice. Even in the background, seems a lot more blurrier on the iPhone 11 Pro than on the iPhone XR, so that's a really important thing to note as well. This next photo, exact same photo location, exact same timing, and look at the differences here. That is some difference. The background, everything looks much darker on the iPhone XR. It looks maybe nighttime or something, or like 6, 7, 8 p.m. It was actually like 10 a.m. in the morning. And look at the difference, even at the light bulb in the middle, some difference here. And the iPhone 11 Pro definitely won here. It's much better. It has that night mode capability too, which is really nice. Now these leaves, again, taken at pretty much the exact same location. They kind of showcase the same thing, honestly. If I go in and zoom into this specific leaf, for example, let's see if we can notice any crazy differences. And right out the bat, I don't, but once I feel like once I zoom in a little bit more, I'll be able to tell. And look at that. I mean, again, it seems like to me, more detail on the 11 Pro photo, even with this leaf here. Look how much more detail we're getting here. Where the iPhone XR still, looks a little bit blurry, doesn't get as much detail in the photos. And again, that's one thing that I've been noticing is with the older iPhones, they're not bad cameras at all, but once you start zooming in, they're kind of lacking a lot of detail. With the iPhone 11 Pro, it maintains that detail, which is really nice. Now this photo, I wanted to showcase how both phones interpret the same color, and you can see, again, I like how this one looks, I like how the XR looks. The iPhone 11 Pro looks more real, it looks like what it's actually looking like in real life. So between these two, both are really good, but I feel like I like the XRs more, to be honest. Now this photo, again, taken in the same location right about, and with the iPhone XR, one thing that I noticed is that sometimes when you're in specific lighting conditions, it really likes to blow over and overexpose, which is kind of annoying. It kind of showcases, you can't even look at that, that looks so bright. Whereas on the iPhone XR, that's still viewable. You can see that even some of the light is creeping over into this specific part and this specific part. The iPhone XR did a really good job at kind of dampening that exposure, which is really nice. The overall quality, though, still might go for the iPhone 11 Pro, that this looks really nice. The iPhone XR, did a really good job overall. Now this photo again kind of showcases the little thing right here, and like I said yesterday, when I was zooming into this thing and I was zooming into the same thing on the iPhone 11 Pro, now these were taken in kind of different locations but almost the same thing. It kind of looks a little bit better on the iPhone XR this time around, which is pretty interesting. Looking at the rest, I kind of like how the iPhone XR looks, to be honest. There's not one that specifically looks way better than the other one. If I go and zoom into this part, maybe the iPhone 11 Pro looks a little bit better there. Oh, it definitely looks a lot better. If I look at the leaves, let's see if I notice any crazy difference. And, maybe the detail is a little bit better and it looks a lot more blurry here and unfocused on the iPhone 11 Pro, which is what you want in a photo. So that's really interesting. Now, this photo is of the lamp again. If I zoom into the specific leaf right there, let's see which one looks better. And in terms of the detail, I kind of think, I don't really know, to be honest. They both look really good. The 10R looks really good and the iPhone 11 Pro looks really good too. So I don't know which one wins here. I kind of like this one. It looks a little bit darker and it looks better overall. However, the actual pod itself looks different on both, so you have to keep that in mind. This is just another photo of that same exact location. You can see again, it looks pretty good on both. I like how both of them look, but without a doubt, I'll definitely say maybe they both are almost the same. Honestly, I don't really notice too many differences. In this last photo, again, I wanted to showcase the differences how both phones interpret these colors. And you can see, even just looking at this specific white part and looking at this specific white part, you can see how both phones interpret the white color. And honestly, to kind of sum up the whole entire comparison, dude, both phones are great. I love both of these phones. I think the 11 Pro and 10R have very similar photo quality. Sometimes the 10R is better, sometimes the 11 Pro is better. But overall, as overall camera sensors, the 11 Pro definitely wins because you have that telephoto lens and that ultra wide sensor, and you cannot forget about those things. So that pretty much covers that, guys. If you have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those things are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.